Hello Internet, so nice to see you. I got a great question in my comments and I want to answer this for you.
Please, can you do a video on how to create longer legato lines?
First of all, I'm gonna give you a cheeky answer. To make a long legato lines, you need to make two short legato lines and put them together, which I know, how it sounds, but that's pretty much how it works. But then, here's the thing. Let's go on the practical stuff, okay? How do we get long legato lines? The first thing is to start seeing your scales, and again, I'm assuming you want to do legato through scales right now, but you start seeing your scales using the quote-unquote right patterns, okay? There are several ways to see the scales on the guitar, okay? There is the gauge system, the 3-note per string system, the 3-3-1-3-1 system or something like that, and all these kind of things. I love the 3-note per string system, and one of the reasons I love that is because it makes it way easier to make long legato lines, okay? So far so good. So, the first thing I would recommend is that you get familiar with those patterns, okay? Let's say, for instance, you want to play a long legato line in C major. The first thing you should need to be able to do, essentially, and again, slow, don't even go fast, is to be able to play. Be able to play this scale in legato and on time, okay? Now, I know this is not flashy immediately, okay? But honestly, the flashy stuff comes when you can do the good stuff first. There are 7 of those patterns. You don't have to remember all of them by heart, as you will see in a moment, but it's a good idea to run them so that you get them under your fingers. And again, you don't have to have them fast, but run them so that your fingers know where to go. Then, once you've seen those, the 3-note per string system, the pattern, combine one after the other in a very interesting way. Essentially, you want to organize your scale playing 6 notes on one of those patterns, and then use the last note to shift on the next pattern, okay? These work out to be something like this. Let's say I'm in G major. Okay, in G major we'll have this scale if I stay in position. Okay, which sounds good, but so what I'm gonna do is this. I'm actually gonna play this from string 6. This is on 6 string 3 5 7, then 3 5 7, then 4 5 7, and 4 5 7. Okay. Nothing really hard here. Now I'm gonna play the same pattern 1 octave higher, which means I'm gonna start 2 strings down and 2 frets up. Okay. Going then in the next pattern on the 3-note per string scales, if you know them, but otherwise you just think on the 4th string 5 7 9, then 5 7 9, then on string 2 it's 7 8 10, and on string 1 it's 7 8 10. So essentially what I'm playing here is pretty much the same as what I play here. Okay, or at least the shape I play with my hands are the same. Now this sounds a bit choppy right now because I'm not connecting them yet. But that's your first exercise in a sense. Get this down. Okay, then you start connecting them. How do you connect them? Once you get to the top of the first half, come back. So what I was doing here is I get to the top of the first half. I started pulling off those notes, so coming back to this 4th string, 4th fret. When I came here, I slide my index finger up 1 fret to fret number 5, and then I can start with the second half of my lick. Okay? Makes sense? And now it starts to sound like a long legato line as opposed to 2 short legato lines. So, and at the beginning, don't care too much about the timing, okay? Because when you play these and you play it really fast, sometimes you can cram 5 notes in the space of 4 or 7 notes in the space of 6, depending on what you're doing. The idea is to play them and just cram those notes into the time you have and try to land on the right note at the end. Makes sense? Okay. Now, if you don't like this ending note, you can always shift up to the next note. Oops. Okay. And again, I'm using a clean sound, so whatever it is, if you want to do a distorted sound, use a distorted sound. I'm just showing you that this is possible, whatever you want, however you want to do it. Now, is this not long enough? Well, that's where it comes something interesting. Rather than playing just 3 notes per string, so this is a longer legato line, but how we can make this even longer? Well, the trick here is to not play just don't just go through every string straight, but you go back and forth on the strings. So, for instance, rather than playing, I can play instead. So I'm going 3, 5, 7, 5, 3, 5, 7, rather than doing just 3, 5, 7. Okay, it already starts much. It sounds much longer. It could be too long and too much of the same. So you don't do it every time. You do it only every now and then. Or if you don't like this because it's too much of the same all at the same time, you go back and forth on 2 strings. What do I mean? So you go 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7. Then you come back 7, 3, 7, 5, 3. Sorry, 5, 3, 7, 5, 3. And then 5, 7, 3, 5, 7. So I'm going all the way through 2 strings, all the way back, and all the way through again. Okay, so every time I was doing 2 strings, then I come back to connect. Okay, every time I do 2 strings, I go back and forth those two strings. Okay, and then you go wherever you want. And by the way, that's one possible pattern. You could start from the next pattern and start and work your way up there. Okay, in the same way. Essentially, you play 4 string on one octave, 4 string on the next octave, or something like that. Okay, that's one possible strategy. This is allowed to create pretty long legato lines. Let's see a different strategy right now, okay? Always to play long legato lines. And again, it still helps if you know your 3 note per string patterns first. But then you organize your scale in a slightly different way. You organize your scale putting 4 notes on a string and 3 on the next. Which sounds strange at the beginning, okay? But think about it for a moment. 3 plus 4 is 7, duh, okay? How many notes there are in this case you use like major scales or modes? 7. Which means that you're gonna play all the 7 notes in 2 strings, 4 on the one string and 3 on the other string. Which means that when you get to the next 2 strings, the whole thing repeats, the whole shape repeats because you have the same notes just an octave lower. Let me show you that. Let's say I want to go down and I'm still playing in the key of G or E minor, depends, it's the same. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna start at the E on the first string, 12th fret. Then I go down 10th fret, 8th fret, 7th fret, always on the first string. So 12, 10, 8, 7. And then 10, 8, 7 on the second string. So it's right now I'm picking it, I'm just showing you the pattern. Okay, so then you memorize this little shape. You start from the next E, which is on 3rd string, fret 9, and you do the same. You see the 9, 7, 5, 4, 7, 5, 4. It's the same shape, exact same shape. And then you start with the E at the 7th fret, 5th string, and it's the same shape, 7, 5, 3, 2, 5, 3. And if you want, you can pull off and get the open E. Okay, I would suggest you guys get comfortable with this picking it first, so that you know where your fingers are going. And oh yeah, right now I'm sliding with my pinky every time. But if you want to slide with the index finger instead, sure, up to you, it's the same. And indeed, depending on exactly what you play on this legato line, you may find yourself sliding with the pinky or sliding with the index finger. So it's good to be able to do both, okay? It's not something like one is right, one is wrong. It depends what you play. You can play all these, okay, in legato this way. It sounds a bit lame because it's just straight. So what we can do to make it more interesting? We go back and forth like we were doing before. But we do it this way. I'm gonna put my pinky on the 12th fret here. And I'm pulling off the 10, and then to the 8. And I'm sliding to the 7, hammering the 10, the 8, hammering the 10, pulling off to the 8, pulling off to the 7. So. Make sense? And then on the next string, I'm just gonna pull off. So I'm gonna do 10, 8, 7. Then I'm start again on the next string. And I do the same for all the other strings. So it sounds this way. Slower. That's only one possible way to go through this. The idea is just to not traverse the whole thing straight, but to do a little bit of back and forth, okay? And what I'm using right now is simply to go back and forth with the whole end, but there are several different ways of doing it. For instance, if you're going up rather than down, I prefer to do this new thing going up rather than down. Let's say I'm go back to my G scale going up, rather than doing the 3, 5, 7 going up, I do 3, 7, pull off to 3 again, 5, 7. Okay? So, there are a few tricks to get a longer legato line. Take this slow, and if you have problems playing this in legato, play it picking first, so that your left hand gets used to the movement, and once you can do it picking first slow, then you can try and do it in legato. I hope you like them and you can make some good solos out of that. If you are interested in how to see the scale all around the fretboard so that you can do these legato lines without thinking too much, okay, at the beginning I understand you have to have those shapes in mind and know where to go. But if you're interested in really learning your fretboard so that you don't have to think about all that, I do have a course about that. It's called Master of the Modes. And in that, I'm showing you what are all the modes, what are all the scale, how to play them in all the keys, how to play them all over the fretboard, and how to connect them in those ways so that you don't have to spend half an hour figuring out what is the scale, and then you're left only with 2 minutes to practice, okay? You learn your scales once and for all over all the fretboard, and it's easier than you think, because those scales are very regular, okay? So once you understand the patterns behind them, it's really easy to move through them, okay? And then you can play legato to your heart's content as long as you can throughout all the fretboard, and it's fun. If you like these videos, smash on that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, write them down in the comments. This is Tommaso Zillio of MiniTheoryForGuitar.com. And until next time, enjoy!